Thank you very much for joining us, Minister, the Honorable Victor Dominello, the Minister for Customer Service of New South Wales. A very, very handsome, a very good-looking man, and very good in his work and deeds as well. Thank you so much for taking the time out, Minister, and joining us.
Thank you.
Here, I'm also joined by Anuj Kulshrestha, who's the editor of the Hindi Gaurav magazine. And I'm Nitin Malik, and I work for Hindi Gaurav magazine as well. Now, what we have started here is a community talk with the Australian ministers and parliamentarians. This is about giving the community an insight into our ministers, our leaders. And this is done by obviously none other than Anuj, also being the editor of the first ever Hindi language magazine that is available in digital as well as print media, the Hindi Gaurav magazine. So this is one of the aspects here to welcome the ministers into the community and talk a bit about the phenomenal work that has been going on, especially this year, the 2020, that has seen many challenges from the beginning, and towards the end of the year, we are still into a very, very challenging stage. And it's about talking about those as well. Now, Minister, if I could start with asking you for a bit of a background of yourself. I know you have been known as a metaphor man in your university days. And I know you use those analogies, very lovely analogies there. I think you might be a bit of a car enthusiast as well, because I see those analogies being repeated over and over. Maybe something to do with the engines, not sure, but we'll probably try and find that out. So if you could give a bit of a background, and how did you make your way into politics, and how's the journey been so far?
Well, thanks, Nathan. And Anuj, you're right. I do like metaphors. Maybe I focus on cars because they're a vehicle for a journey, and we're all on a journey at the end of the day. So, so that's probably. I'll have to revisit the car metaphor and maybe think about rocket ships and other things futuristic. So, did you ask how I got into politics? I got into politics because basically. About when was it? On the 15th of August 2008, I had this dialogue with God and the universe. I said, look, I've got everything in my world. I've got my health. I've got great family, great job as a partner at a law firm, living in McMahon's Point. I had everything. If you want me to continue on this path, let me know. If you don't, make it obvious, because I'm pretty stubborn. 2 weeks after I got back, I got a random call from Gladys Berejiklian, who I knew as a kid, and she said, we want you to run for the seat of Ryde because there was a by-election. Somebody resigned. So I said to her, if you can convince my mum and my 2 sisters, because my dad had passed away, then I'll do it. One sister said, yes, do it. The other sister said, no, don't do it because we'll never see you again. And all politicians are idiots anyway. And she had an argument, a good argument. And then Mum said, do it because your dad will be proud. And that's how I got into politics.
Excellent. Now, I understand you were a lawyer before, with being a partner in a law firm, and had this whole beautiful life there. Just one question there. Does your sister get to see you, or she doesn't?
Definitely around election time she does. She helps me out, so I love my sister. She does, but look, truth be told, not every politician is the same. Some throw their life into it. Some have more work balance. I happen to, I see myself as married to my job, and I love what I do, so I don't work a day of my life in that sense. But I still see Catherine and Maria and Mum. I make an effort to go and see Mum every Sunday for dinner. I get my care packages. I get 7 days of food that way. I still see them, but not as much. That's the reality.
And you're married to your work, and you're doing a wonderful, wonderful job there as well, Minister. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Minister, talking about job, talking about the role there, how did this customer service, I know it was, the department was introduced early last year, and very interesting department. And I guess many of the people in the community still get a bit confused with the name, the Department of Customer Service. I know yourself as one of the most customer-centric people. Would you like to talk a bit about that? How did this department come about?
Yeah, it's a great question, because nowhere around the world, we've looked and we can't find an example of another ministry for customer service anywhere around the world. When we were coming up with the idea, people said, well, why customer service? Why not minister for public service, or people for minister for citizen service? The reason we chose customer is because not every person that lives or resides in New South Wales that requires good service delivery is a citizen. You could have tourists here. You could have people on visas here, international students here, but they still deserve high-level service. So what we thought is we should treat them as a customer of the service, because when you treat businesses have to, for businesses to stay in business, they've got to look after their customers. Governments are the same. If governments don't look after the people that are using the services, then they should get kicked out of government. So we thought of creating the Ministry for Customer Service, because we all get frustrated with dealing with different government agencies, whether it's health or education or police or transport, and having 5 or 6 different interfaces with different government agencies. Traditionally, what governments do is we force the individuals to evolve around us, revolve around us. We're the sun, we're the center of the universe, which is wrong. We are the servants. You are the center of the universe. So we need to evolve or revolve around you and make sure that you get optimal service delivery, not the other way around. So we started that journey about 7 or 8 years ago when we launched Service New South Wales, a one-stop shop for a whole lot of different government transactions. In the last election, we thought we want to take this to another level. Service is great, but we really want to make it even bigger and better and bolder. So we created the Ministry for Customer Service that enables me to go into other areas within government, and whether it's education, whether it's planning, or the like. And so what else can we do? Where can we work together, collaborate to improve the customer journey or the citizen journey? And that's how the Ministry for Customer Service came about.
That is such an interesting thing to know. And thank you very much, both Anuj and I feel like the center of the universe now, Minister. Thank you so much for that.
Sure. Good. So you should be. So you should be.
We definitely do. Minister, I think you would have spoken about this thing, many times in the last few months. But once again, as customers of New South Wales, I think we were just talking about it before we started this session. And once again, a very different session, and something that was very, very close to your heart as well. I do understand that you are a technology man as well, where you believe in technology and you implemented so much of it throughout these departments, the government departments, in various different departments of them. I also understand that you're part of the senior leadership team that has been, tasked with this extremely challenging, I don't think never in our lifetimes or any of our elders' lifetimes seen before time of COVID-19. And what a phenomenal response it has been when we compare. I mean, we don't even go to other countries to compare ourselves with other countries and how lucky we are in this country. But even in New South Wales, what a phenomenal response it has been.
Oh, thank you.
How did you all, I know you're part of the 5 there in terms of who are tasked with this response. How on a day-to-day basis, can you just talk to us about that? Tell us a bit about that. How did you overcome this challenge? I mean, partially at least.
Well, I think the main, let me start by saying it's a team effort. Like, it's Team New South Wales. Sure, the New South Wales government's got certain responsibilities to discharge, but ultimately it's the people of our state that have risen to the challenge. We could say do X, Y, or Z, but ultimately it's the people of the great state that have really, we can all look back over this year and take a bit of pride in where we've landed so far. The journey's not over. The journey is not over. We still haven't got the vaccine. Hopefully that gets rolled out next year. But compared to other states and other countries around the world, I'm so proud of the people of our state and the businesses of our state too. They've really stepped up. So the Premier asked me very early on in the piece, because she knows I'm a data and a digital and technology zealot. She said, look, I need you in this crisis. We call it the crisis cabinet. I need you in that. And I want you to go and have a look at the data architecture to see, because we've got to make really tough decisions. We need to use data. Typically in government, all the different silos have their own, expertise in their own data. They don't share the information. And you needed to collaborate in this pandemic, because if you don't collaborate, you have failures, systemic and big failures. So the first thing I did, I got all the agencies together and I said, look, subject to privacy and security, we want to have a combined dashboard, a big dashboard of all the major bits of data that we need to track and measure to make some really difficult decisions. Because initially, the first thing we were looking at was mobility. Everyone, the word of the day back then was mobility. Everyone was worried about stopping movement, because mobility was a proxy for infection. Because back then we didn't have much compliance. So everybody was just focused on stopping, shutting down as much as we could. We then quickly worked out, because we had some pretty sophisticated data architecture in place, that even though after about Easter, people were starting to get tired of being cooped up at home. So come Easter, we could see the mobility increasing significantly. People were just moving out, going to the beaches, doing their thing. But yet at the same time, because we were getting it pretty much daily, we saw that the infection was not increasing. So mobility and infections didn't go up the same curve like it traditionally did. And we realized at that point there was a flip over that said, wow, hold it. The people of our state have realised they have now embraced COVID-safe practices, such as hand hygiene, such as shaking with your elbows. So we broke the nexus between mobility and infection, and then interwove with that using data around compliance. So compliance became a big part of the result. So that's why, progressively since that time, we've rolled out more and more compliance measures, such as the QR check-in feature, because businesses in many ways are, the second line of defence. When people are complacent, and it's easy to become complacent, if you have to go to a business and you have to scan your QR code, it's just a reminder I'm still in a pandemic. So, I better keep my wits about me. But so that's why we're working really closely with businesses to get their COVID-safe plans up, get the QR check-ins in place, and a whole lot of other things that we're doing with them, and now with the vouchers as well, to keep not just the people safe, but to keep the economy open as far as humanly possible. So that's been the broad journey so far over the last 9 months.
A very challenging, but a great place to be at this stage, Minister. Definitely, everyone has come along, but the direction shown by the government is phenomenal there. And talking about businesses and the QR code, I know it has been mandated now. I understand that it is compulsory for the businesses. So talking about the businesses in the community, there's messaging out there. There's businesses understanding that they need to have QR codes. Can you talk about the types of businesses that need to have those QR codes in place?
Well, it's obviously all the businesses that are high risk. So, we started with the hospitality venues, and then the other venues such as beauty salons, hairdressing salons, entertainment facilities, crematoria, public swimming pools, party buses, funeral homes, all the high risks. There's a huge array, and I can happy to share that through a separate link. We'll just go to nsw.gov.au and you'll see the complete list. But we wanted to target, basically all the hospitality venues, because when you think about COVID, where are the highest risks? The highest risks occur indoors, because outdoors, if you sneeze, there's a lot of air out there for the particles to move and die pretty quickly. But if you sneeze or cough or sing or move air particles indoors in a closed environment, not much ventilation, it hangs around like a mist. And then it lands on surfaces. It doesn't die. It hangs around there for a long time. Whereas if it lands on the sand, lands on the road, again, less risk. And then if you combine that with food, because when people eat, again, more particles are let free. And when you combine that with alcohol, again, people drink and they get more relaxed and they become more complacent. They let their guard down, and all the things that we've been trying to work hard towards starts eroding away. So that's where we use the QR checking in relation to those high-risk areas. But increasingly, we might as well get used to it until we get the vaccine and until we get through this. And when you think about it, it is not a huge impost. It's not like we're asking people to do things that are really complicated. People are already using their phone to pay for things now. I have not carried a wallet for years. I pay with everything on this. So to use a QR code takes literally a second, but it keeps people safe and it keeps businesses open. It's so important. And again, beyond that, it's around behavioural science. I've said this a number of months ago that, we quickly changed in COVID from understanding that it was a medical science issue, because, we pretty much understood the dynamics from a medical perspective around the virus early on. Then we were tracking really hard to find the vaccine. That's all medicine. But the biggest part of the response to the pandemic is the behavioural science. How do we get 8 million people in New South Wales working together? And that's where you need nudges. I don't know if you've read Malcolm Gladwell in his book, Tipping Points and Outliers, but there's a lot of behavioural science required to get 8 million people working together. So that's why businesses are an important part in that, to make sure that we don't let our guard down.
And I must commend there are quite a few businesses that I've visited over the weekend until now, and everywhere they would write there, standing with a QR code, multiple printouts, and getting people to sign in using the QR codes. And also one of the changes that I've seen is that usually if there were 3 people going in, one could just sign in, and now they're requesting actually that all 3 must be signed in and checking that before they're allowing you to sit down. So they're following your directions there, and very, very right thing to do there as well, Minister. So
I love that. I love that, because it means that businesses are taking it seriously, because we want to keep businesses open. We want to keep people safe. And if we can do this together, we'll get through this. We will get through this. We're almost there. And I'm just so grateful to the business community for stepping up. It really is a moment where they are stepping up, because would be so easy to say, I'm going to do my own thing. I don't care anymore. I'm going to do my own thing. But that's why I go back to my earlier point. It really has been a Team New South Wales effort. All of us are doing, sure, we make mistakes here and there, and everybody makes mistakes, but generally speaking, we're all on the same team. And it's beautiful to see.
That's absolutely right, Minister. Any key message for the Indian community businesses out there, the restaurants, the grocery stores, the people in business of property, the people in business of migration, the people in business of education, the people in all different businesses, all different arenas there?
Well, for starters, I love the Indian community. I've been to India about 4 times. I love India, love Mother India. They say beautiful India, amazing India. It's enchanting. It's just no other place like it on the planet. I hope to go back there soon. And I've got an amazing growing Indian community in the diaspora in Ryde. So I'm just so grateful for all that they do. But going back to the point of businesses, they have a leadership role as being a business, not just to keep people employed, but to keep people safe. And they've got to keep their staff safe, and they've got to keep their customers safe, and doing the basic things like a QR code and just hygiene standards in place. Like, it's not much, but if we do it, we'll get through the pandemic. And then I really believe that the 1920s were referred to as the Roaring 20s. We're setting New South. I know we're going through a really tough year this year, and next year will be difficult as well as we come off JobKeeper and we work our way through the vaccine, hopefully. But I really believe that with all the digital infrastructure and the smarts that we're putting in place here, and the cultural adoption of the people of our state towards being a smarter, more sophisticated state, moving away from paper back to digital, really sets us up into a very strong position for the majority of this decade. You know, my grandparents came out after World War II, before and after World War II, and you know, they came out here to make this country stronger. They worked, you know, whether it was in the snowies or in the market gardens, whatever. I really believe that we will see another migration wave coming. Hopefully a lot from India as well. Particularly as we get through the pandemic, because they'll say, well, Australia managed this well. New South Wales managed it exceptionally well. New South Wales is leading the world in digital in some places. This is where future is. This is where great service delivery is. This is where personalised digital health is. Where education is where planning is digitised. We want to be there. So my message to the Indian community is, A, thank you. B, we're not through it yet, but C, so much optimism moving forward. I really do believe that. And the Indian community are going to be a big part of that journey.
Thank you very much, Minister. That's very, very nice of you. I know you have a big, big day ahead. You've had a big day so far, and you still managed to spare some time for us. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the Honorable Minister for Customer Service, Minister Victor Dominello. Thank you very much, Minister, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.